Hello, welcome to another video by Rick Miracle, Freemasonry and Satanism, number 61, part 12. The last part of the Blue Lodge and Chapter Masonry Handbook. Rayon's Handbook of Freemasonry. The last part was on the Mark Mason, where we left off. And like I said, what I'm trying to do is to bring the atmosphere, or some semblance of it, in these videos, on the first 1/3 of this video, to give people an idea of what they do with those initiation ceremonies and other activities in the lodge, so that maybe we could understand these forces that have these lodges all over the world, every town, every country, every state, every county, and many different names: York Rite, Scottish Rite, Knights of Columbus. I just learned. As I said before, I'm learning as I go along. Rosicrucians, and we got Jesuits and Zionism, and all these secret mystery schools have these initiation, it seems, rites and degrees that people progress on and swear allegiance, and to keep things that they learn inside secret under threat of death: their throat cut, their heart ripped out, their body cut in half. And we find out also that they are politically connected, and usually manned at the top or whatever by wealthy people and politically high people and clergy at the top. So anybody who wants to say that these people are not connected with the state would be not telling the truth. And then we further learn that their religion is a little suspect, pagan, to use a direct word, which is many gods, is what the pagan religion means, versus the one God, which is the ones they worshipped with Moses to take the Hebrews out of Egypt, under the Pharaoh's dictatorship, rulership. So anyways, there's more here than meets the eye, is what I'm trying to say. So with that, this being the 12th part of this series, I'll try to move through this second section of the Mark Master Mason Secret Work degree, and maybe we'll have all learned something. I've learned a little bit more as I go along. So here we have the candidate, yet again seemingly blindfolded and with a rope around him, with his arms of the shirt rolled up, but apparently his shoes and pants and shirt are on. I'll just start reading. In the first section, the candidate had been deprived of all money, his coat off, his shirt sleeves rolled up. In addition to that, he is now deprived of his vest, necktie, and collar, his right hand, his right breast bared, and a cable tow, a rope, is put 4 times around his body. He also wears an apron of fellowcraft, being thus in the working costume of the fellowcraft is with the apron. The 4 coils of the cable tow and the 4 knots allude to the 4th degree in Masonry, being that in which he is now initiated. Senior Deacon rising. Right Worshipful Master, there is an alarm at the door of the preparation room. Right Worshipful Master, attend the alarm. And as you know, I'm not saying everything. I'm skipping over stuff so I can finish this. So if you can go online at a used bookstore or someplace, and they probably get one of their books and read it for yourself. Alright, who comes here? Junior Deacon. Brother James Hunt, who has been regularly initiated, passed and raised to the sublime degree of Master Mason, and now seeks further promotion in Masonry by being advanced to the honorary degree of Mark Mason. Brother Hunt, is it of your own free will and accord that you make this request? The candidate: it is. Senior Deacon: Brother Junior Deacon, is he duly and truly prepared? Junior Deacon: he is. Senior Deacon: is he worthy and well qualified? Junior Deacon: he is. Senior Deacon: has he presented a satisfactory specimen of his work and made suitable proficiency in the preceding degrees? Junior Deacon: he has. Senior Deacon: by what further right or benefit does he expect to gain admission? Junior Deacon: by the benefit of the pass. Senior Deacon: has he the pass? Junior Deacon: he has it not, but I have it for him. Senior Deacon: advance and give it. Not that I'm a great actor here or anything, I'm just trying to play the part how you would see it if you were in the lodge room watching. Senior Deacon: the pass is right. Let him wait until the right worshipful master is informed of his request and his answer returned. The Senior Deacon closes the door, goes to the west side of the altar, salutes the right worshipful master with the due guard and sign as in the accompanying figures. So he does this, and then this with the hands across the stomach, which are the due guard and sign, as you can see in the picture. Right Worshipful Master: Brother Senior Deacon, what is the cause of the alarm? Senior Deacon: Right Worshipful Master, there is without Brother James Hunt, who has been regularly initiated, passed and raised to the sublime degree of a Master Mason, and now seeks further promotion in the Masonry by being advanced to the honorary degree of Mark Mason. Right Worshipful Master: is it of his own free will and accord that he makes the request? And so they go on with that little routine, and I'm jumping over to give me the pass. Senior Deacon: what due guard and sign? With due guard and sign. JOPPA, JOPA. Right Worshipful Master: you will admit the candidate and receive him in due form. Senior Deacon: it is the order of the Right Worshipful Master that the candidate enter this lodge of Mark Master Masons and be received in due form. The Junior Deacon conducts the candidate into the lodge, about 3 feet inside the door, where he is halted by the Senior Deacon, who receives him in due form as follows. Ooh, this looks good. Senior Deacon: Brother Hunt, I receive you into this lodge of Mark Masters upon the edge of the engraver's chisel against your naked right breast. Places the edge of the chisel against his breast under the pressure of a mallet. Strikes the head of the chisel lightly with the mallet, which is to teach you that the moral precepts of this degree should make a deep and lasting impression upon your future life and conduct. Alright, so we got a chisel and a mallet on his breast. He's blindfolded, rope around his body. The Senior Deacon, then handing the chisel and mallet to the Junior Deacon, takes the candidate by the right arm and conducts him 4 times around the lodge room, walking rather slowly, and invariably following the course of the sun, and hence the circuits around the room always begins at the east. The 3rd time around, the Junior Deacon gives 3 raps, 2 rapidly, and then 1. The Senior Warden the same, and the Right Worshipful Master the same. During the 4th circuit around the lodge, the Junior Warden gives 4 raps, 2 then a pause, and 2 more. The senior warden the same. The master the same. As the senior deacon and candidate pass on around the lodge, the right worshipful master also reads from the monitor as follows. Right worshipful master. And I will cut wood out of Lebanon, as much as thou shalt need. And we will bring it to thee in floats by sea, to Joppa, and thou shalt carry it up to Jerusalem. Chronicles 2-16 in the Bible, I suppose, is what they have here. Right worshipful master. Then he brought me back the way of the gate to the outward sanctuary, which looked toward the east, and it was shut. Then the Lord said unto me, This gate shall be shut, and it shall not be opened, and no man shall enter it by it, because the Lord, the God of Israel, had entered in by it, therefore it shall be shut. Looks like there's a little bit about God in here, but they don't mention Jesus. It's interesting, so it's focused the Masonic rites and initiations around Hiram Abiff and King Solomon and Jerusalem and building the temple and stuff like that. Rather interesting, seeing there's supposed to be a separation of church and state. And these people with all the Zionism, higher level Jewish people, the banksters, Rothschilds, etc., church Jesuits, or pretty much run the country with all the secret black op projects and all that. So I guess when they say separation of church and state, they mean Christianity. The one that they crucified. I wonder why that is. Right worshipful master. It is for the prince. The prince, he shall sit in it and eat bread before the Lord. He shall enter by way of the porch of that gate, and shall go out by the way of the same. Right worshipful master. And the Lord said unto me, Son of man, mark well, and behold with thine eyes, and hear with thine ears all that I say unto thee concerning all the ordinances of the house of the Lord, and all the laws thereof, and mark well the entering in of the house, with every going forth of the sanctuary. Ezekiel 44, something about the in royal arch standard. Junior warden rising. Who comes here? Senior deacon. Brother James, who has been regularly initiated, passed and raised to the sublime degree of Master Mason, and now seeks further promotion in Masonry by being advanced to the honorable degree of Mark Mason. Brother Hunt, is it of your own free will and accord that you make this request? The candidate, it is. The junior warden, brother senior deacon, is the candidate duly and truly prepared, worthy and well qualified. Senior deacon, he is. And there's a little asterisk on the bottom of this page. You can see down here. And it says, mark well the blasphemy of using God's word to build up a godless, Christless, prayerless, oath-bound system of Masonry, as the scriptures are used in these chapter degrees. So it seems the author of this book is a little critical of some of these goings-on, being probably himself a Christian. So he makes that pretty well clear in the writing of these texts. Junior warden, has he presented a satisfactory specimen of his work and made suitable proficiency in the preceding degrees? He has. By what further right or benefit does he expect to obtain the favor? Alright, so a little bit more of the same what we read. As you can see, it goes on for that whole page. And moving on this book here. Trying to get through this portion of it. Page 44 of Chapter Masonry. The right worshipful master steps to the east. Point of the altar. Removes his hat and addresses the candidate. Say aye with your full name in full and repeat after me. This is the obligation of Mark Master Mason. Mark well the blasphemy of using God's word to build up a godless, Christless, prayerless, oath-bound system of Masonry, as the scriptures are used in these chapter degrees. So it seems the author of this book is a little critical of some of these goings-on, being probably himself a Christian. So he makes that pretty well clear in the writing of these texts. Junior warden, has he presented a satisfactory specimen of his work and made suitable proficiency in the preceding degrees? I, James Hunt, of my own free will, and accord in the presence of Almighty God, and this right worshipful lodge of Mark Masons, erected of God. Which God? And dedicated to the memory of Hiram Abiff, the guy who was killed by the ruffians, that we have reviewed in the apprentice degree and previous videos of this 12-part series, do hereby and hereon solemnly promise and solemnly swear that I will not reveal the secrets of this degree to a brother of a preceding degree, nor to any person in the world, except it be within a legally constituted and duly opened Mark Master Mason's Lodge, or to a brother of this degree whom I shall have found it to be such by due trial, strict examination, and legal information. I do furthermore promise and swear that I will answer and obey all due signs and summons sent and received by me from a Mark Master's Lodge, or given me by a brother of this degree, if it within the length of my cable tow, that's the length of a rope that's tied around him. I do furthermore promise and swear that I will receive the mark of a brother Mark Master Mason, when offered to me as a pledge, and will grant his request if in my power. If not, I will return his mark with the price thereof, which is a Jewish half shekel of silver, equal in value to a fourth part of $1. I do furthermore promise and swear that I will not alter or change the mark which I shall hereafter select after the same has been recorded in the Lodge Book of Marks. I do furthermore promise and swear that I will not loan or sell my mark, nor pledge it to a second time, until it shall have been redeemed from its former pledge. I do furthermore promise and swear that I will not cheat, wrong, or defraud a Mark Master's Lodge, or a brother of this degree, out of the value of a day's wages, which is 1 penny, nor permit the same to be done by another, if in my power to prevent it. All this I solemnly promise and swear without the least hesitation, equivocation, or mental reservation, binding myself with no less a penalty than having my right ear smote off, my right hand struck off, should I violate this solemn obligation of a Mark Master Mason. So help me God, keep me steadfast, says the candidate. Right Worshipful Master, in token of your sincerity, we will detach your hands, and you will detach your hands, and kiss the Holy Bible now open before you. Kissing the Holy Bible under a threat of having your right ear smote off or your right hand smote off. That doesn't sound very good, a good thing to do, does it? The brother being now bound to us by a tie that can never be broken, swearing on a Bible and kissing it, a tie that can never be broken. Swearing on the Bible, I think that's a sin. Brother Senior Deacon, you will release him from the cable tow. The Right Worshipful Master resumes his hat and steps back to the parallel lines of the brethren facing the candidate of course. I hope I'm making all this a little clearer, the way I present this. I'm sure people who have no idea what goes on, probably curious. It does seem like they do swear oaths to defend and help one another, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Keeping the secrets under threat of death of many different ways is kind of your ear cut off, your hand cut off, your heart cut out, your throat cut, your body cut in half. That's kind of a little bit concerning. What goes on? What kind of fellowship do all these people have in common with each other? What will they do? What can they do? What have they done? That's why I'm doing these videos. Because such a large secret organization is concerning, considering what is going on in the world these days, and what has gone on in the world. You know, imagine two Masons, one from Germany during World War II and one from England, and they run across each other and they give the distress sign so they don't kill each other. Interesting. Alright, moving on. The master takes the candidate by the right hand, as in ordinary handshaking, holds it for an instant, and then releases it. But, my brother, before you arise from this sacred altar, I desire to call your attention to one of the ties of your obligation, wherein you have just solemnly sworn that you will receive the mark of a brother mark Master Mason when offered you as a pledge, and will grant his request if within your power, and if not, that you will return his mark with the price thereof, which is a Jewish half shekel of silver, equal to the value of a fourth part of $1. Warm out here today. I now request you loan me so many dollars, 2, 3, 4, or as he pleases. But remember, they stripped him of all of his money and everything else, for which I offer you my mark as a pledge. The right worshipful master offers his mark, same as the little keystone charm worn on the watch chain. So here would be his little mark. Probably has it on a little keychain. To the candidate, who of course cannot comply with the request, all his money having been removed in the preparation room, the candidate hesitates to take the mark, in which case the right worshipful master says, "You have sworn to receive a brother's mark. You cannot refuse to take my mark." The candidate takes the mark, and the master continues, "Right worshipful master, will you grant my request?" So what did he want? He wanted to loan me $2 or $3. Being unable to do so, his money having been taken from him in the preparation room, the candidate feels somewhat embarrassed, especially if he has never read any exposition of the chapter, such as we're reading right now. "Right worshipful master, will you return my mark so that I may apply to some other brother?" The candidate probably offers to return the mark, but the right worshipful master, with an emphatic gesture, refuses to accept it and says, "You have sworn that you would return a brother's mark with the price thereof, which is a Jewish half shekel of silver, equal in value to a fourth part of $1. You must return my mark with its price." If all this twaddle is new to the candidate, of course his embarrassment is greatly increased. But if he has posted himself beforehand, he simply pretends to be confused and smiles inwardly at the credulity and silliness of those around him. Senior Deacon, "Right worshipful master, the brother cannot comply with that part of his obligation which binds him to return a brother's mark with the price thereof. He is entirely destitute." Right worshipful master, "It is possible, my brother, that you, having been assumed such obligations, and even before leaving the altar, are so unfortunate as to be compelled to violate them. Examine yourself carefully, and see if you cannot find about you your person somewhere, concealed so small a sum as the piece of my mark." Be a quarter. The candidate feels his clothes, searching here and there, but of course finds nothing. Right worshipful master, "Do you find yourself entirely destitute?" The candidate, "I do, yes sir." Right worshipful master, "Brethren, you see before you a brother marked Master Mason, who is so entirely destitute that he is unable to comply with that part of his obligation which requires him to return a brother's mark with the price. Who will assist him?" All the brethren respond, "I will," and rush toward the candidate with money. He accepts a quarter or a 50-cent piece from one. Right worshipful master, "This enables you, my brother, to return my mark with its price. Take the mark and the money from the candidate. This demand is made of you at this time, when on your bended knee at the altar, to impress upon your mind in the most solemn manner that you should never hastily reject the application of a worthy brother, especially when accompanied by so sacred a pledge as his mark. But grant his request, if in your power. If not, return him his mark with the price thereof, which will enable him to procure the common necessities of life. Right Worshipful Master, taking candidate by the right hand. I will now raise you a square to a perpendicular, and will, with the assistance of the senior deacon, will instruct you in the grips and words of a mark master. Take me as I take you. Well, what they do is they take the two hands and clip them together like this, like if you're trying to pick somebody up a hill or something. There's a picture here. He takes the candidate by the right hand, clasping his fingers to those of the candidate, as one naturally would do, assisting another up a steep place, as in a next cut. As you can see, I always pre-read this stuff. Mostly always. What is that? Senior Deacon, the pass grip of Mark Master. Right Worshipful Master, has it a name? Senior Deacon, it has. Right Worshipful Master, will you give it to me? Senior Deacon, I did not so receive it, and cannot so impart it. Right Worshipful Master, how will you dispose of it? Senior Deacon, I will syllable it with you. Right Worshipful Master, syllable it and begin. Senior Deacon, Job, J-O-P. Right Worshipful Master, P-A, Pa. Senior Deacon, Jopa. Right Worshipful Master to candidate. This, my brother, is the pass grip of the Mark Master, the name of which is Joppa. It alludes to the ancient port of Joppa, where much of the material for the building of King Solomon's temple was landed after being brought up from Mount Lebanon by sea on floats. Now remember, all this chaos and anarchy in the Middle East is going on, and they want to rebuild the third temple, which there are pictures of the Freemason society with models of the St. King Solomon's temple they planned on building. But there is a big problem, and that is the Muslim Temple of the Dome sits on part of the platform where the old King Solomon's temple used to be. So somehow in time, this is June 2015, somehow in time they're going to have to destroy the Muslim's Dome of the Rock in order to build King Solomon's temple. Hence all this craziness in the world, and possibly a lot of the insane distraction and economic destruction in the United States might be for all of this. So it seems. Something bigger than all of us can imagine and think about and know about. But they know what they're doing. Alright, Masonic tradition informs us the coast at that point was so steep that it was difficult for the workmen to ascend without assistance, which was afforded them by means of the strong grip, given by others stationed there for the purpose, since which time this word and grip had been adopted as the pass to be given to gain admission into a well-regulated Mark Master's Lodge. Interesting. So there's more here. Will you be off or from? Senior Deacon, from. Right Worshipful Master, from what to what? Senior Deacon, from the pass grip to the true grip of a Mark Master. Right Worshipful Master, pass. The Right Worshipful Master locks his little finger with that of the candidate, the back of their hands being tied together. Each one now closes his fingers, the tips of their thumbs touching at the point of the previous sign. The senior deacon always assists the candidate to place his fingers right. So now what they do is they take their little pinkies and hook them together like this, not the other fingers, two pinkies, and they thumbs like this, see? Put your knuckles together and your thumbs. Your pinkies are interlocked. Can't pull it apart. These are just fisted towards each other, like punching each other. And your thumbs like this. That's what it shows here. I love all these little secret signs. And he goes, Right Worshipful Master. What is that? Senior Deacon. The true grip of a Mark Master. Right Worshipful Master. Has it a name? Senior Deacon. It has. Right Worshipful Master. Will you give it to me? Senior Deacon. I did not so receive it and cannot impart it. Right Worshipful Master. How will you dispose of it? Senior Deacon. I will syllable it with you. Right Worshipful Master. Syllable it and begin. Senior Deacon. Begin you. Right Worshipful Master. Nay, you must begin. Senior Deacon. Mark. So the password is Mark. M-A-R-K. Right Worshipful Master. Well, addressing candidate, this is the true grip of a Mark Master, the name of which is Mark Well. Mark Well. It alludes to a certain text of the scripture. Then he brought me back the way of the gate of the outward sanctuary, which looketh toward the east and was shut. And the Lord said unto me, Son of man, mark well, and behold with thine eyes, and hear with thine ears, all that I say unto thee concerning all the ordinances of the house of the Lord, and all the laws thereof, and mark well the entering in of the house with every going forth of sanctuary. Ezekiel 44, 1-5. Right Worshipful Master, my brother, I will now present you with the working tools of a Mark Master Mason, and will teach you their use. The working tools of a Mark Master Mason are the chisel and the mallet. Holds them in his hands. The chisel presented to the candidate is an instrument made use of by operative masons to cut, carve, mark, and indent their work. And I'm just going to skip through all this part, because I want to get to the end of this degree. So the chisels to carve and mark and indent their work, etc. Carved capitals, beautiful statues. The mallet is used in operative masons to knock off excessive excretions, smooth surfaces. Morally teaches to correct irregularities, reduce man to a proper level, so by the quiet deployment. So the uses of the chisel and the mallet, you can go look it up. And again, I'm skipping over some stuff because we want to finish this up. Here we got some stuff here. Page 58. Right Worshipful Master. My brother, as a preparatory circumstances, attending your advancement to this degree, you were caused to represent one of the craftsmen employed at the building of King Solomon's temple, whose custom it was on the evening of the 6th day of every week to carry up their work for the inspection and the approve and to receive wages. The work was inspected by 3 overseers, appointed by King Solomon for that purpose and stationed at the south, west, and east gates of the temple. They were employed at the building of the temple 80,000 craftsmen, and one would naturally suppose that in so great a number our grand masters were liable to be imposed upon by unskilled craftsmen. So they're saying unskilled craftsmen might sneak in and try to get paid. Presenting work unfit for use, but they were not, for King Solomon took the precaution that each craftsman presenting work should have his mark placed thereon. So when you get to be a Mark Master Mason, you have to select your own mark. I think it's a little circle, and there's a choice of many marks you can choose from, like alphabet letters or something, so that it might easily be known and distinguished when promiscuously brought up for inspection. A brother's mark, therefore, becomes synonymous with his name, and hence he has no more right to alter or change his mark than he has his name. The wages of a faithful craftsman, when his work was approved, was a penny a day. Remember, this is thousands of years ago. penny probably got you a big bag of wheat, barley or something. In so great a number as 80,000, it would be natural to suppose that our grand masters were liable to be defrauded by craftsmen, demanding wages not their due. But they were not, for King Solomon took the further precaution that each craftsman, claiming wages, should thus thrust his right hand through a lattice window, as we learned earlier, into the apartments of the senior warden with a copy of his mark. Remember, you select your own mark. In the palm thereof, at the same time giving his token. So you give your mark and demand your wages. The amount of wages due that particular mark was placed upon his fingers, with which he withdrew his hand. So each brother passed on succession until all were paid. This token makes the sign again, alludes to the way and manner of each craftsman was taught to receive his wages. Its use was to distinguish a true craftsman from an impostor. And when an impostor was detected, the penalty was to have his right hand struck off. It was for the want of this token that you were detected and came near losing your right hand. So if you got in line with those 40,000 workmen on King Solomon's temple to try to get paid for something you didn't do and your work didn't match your mark, because everybody's work, they had them put their mark on it, and you stuck your hand through the lattice window to get your wages, and it didn't match, they would lop off your right hand. So it says here. This is the grand hailing sign, or the sign of distress of a marked master mason. And that was the heave-ho sign, like you're picking up something big and you're going to heave it over. It's called a heave-ho. It's the distress sign for marked master mason. And I guess for the third degree it was the distress sign. 1, 2, 3. Signals and handshakes they have for each other. This is the principal sign and alludes to the principal words, which are heave over. So, I told you the story. I guess I'm just going to, I could tell you more. We could go on with this. There is a little Music America, some kind of song here, verses. Mark masters all appear before the chief overseer. In concert move, let him your work inspect. For the chief architect, if there be no defect, he will approve. You who have passed the square, for your rewards prepare. Join heart and hand, each with his mark in view. March with the just and true. Wages to you are due at your command. Somebody's a poet, huh? Hiram, the widow's son, sent unto Solomon, our great keystone. On it appears the name, which raises high the fame of all to whom the same is truly known. Now to the westward move, where full in strength and love, Hiram doth stand. But if impostors are mixed with the worthy there, caution them to beware of the right hand. All right. So, we got the idea, the gist of the story about the your mark and master mason and having your ear and your hand cut off. Penny a day. Another little verse here. Now to the praise of those who triumphed over foes, of mason's art. To the praiseworthy three who founded this degree, may all their virtues be deep in our hearts. Then they have a closing ceremony they go through. And the last bit here. Supreme Grand Architect of the universe, who sitteth on the throne of mercy, deign to view our labors in the cause of virtue and humanity with the eye of compassion. Purify our hearts and cause us to know and serve thee aright. Guide us in the paths of rectitude and honor. Correct our errors by our unerring squares of thy wisdom, and enable us to practice the precepts of Masonry with all our actions, which may be acceptable to thy sight. Amen. Brethren, so mote it be, where I worship a master. Accordingly, I declare this lodge of Mark Masters closed. Brother Junior Deacon, so inform the Tyler. Brother Senior Deacon, take charge of the 3 great lights. All remove their aprons and jewels of office. The Tyler opens the ante-room door, and they usually repair to some convenient sample room, generally by invitation of the candidate, thus going from labor to refreshment. So, there's still this much more of this book I could do, but I think I've made my point. There's more in here. There's another degree. You can go get this book, or Morals and Dogma, on the used book site. Here's something interesting here. This is on page 163, and they have the Ark of the Covenant here. Like I said, more of other secret work. Brethren advance with the Ark. I'm not going to read the whole thing. The 4 brethren bearing the Ark, the candidate being one of them, passed through the lines under the Ark, in which the keystone was placed, and deposit the Ark on a pedestal inside, towards the east, which actually represents the diagram. The Ark is now supposed to be seated in the Holy of Holies. And remember, the Ark is supposed to contain the 2 tablets of the 10 Commandments. And if you open it, if you remember the Indiana Jones movie, a light comes out and kills everybody. And I did there's a lot back here that I did read and I wanted to do. And maybe I'll do in the future, but for now, on Series 61, Part 12, that's all I'm going to do of this book. Well, it's time for a continuation of this video with a book review and a continuation of a book I already started in this series. Fritz Springmeier's Bloodlines of the Illuminati. I think it's important because I think when you consider 12 videos I've made in this series, 61, about 2 hours each, that's 24 hours worth of material. And it's helped me see a little bit of the light. No pun intended, Illuminati light. Or was it a pun intended? But it seems that we can conclude these worldwide organizations, lodges, York Rites, Knights of Columbus, Scottish Rite, Rosicrucians, and everybody else, it seems it's, as I've been saying lately as a shortcut to the explanation, witchcraft. Believe it or not. So I'm just going to get on here and start reading on page 320. President Bill Clinton. George Bush was a skull and bones man. Bush was head of the CIA and directed 2 secret units, the Special Situation Group, SSG, and the Crisis Pre-Planning Group, Crisis Pre-Planning. How do you pre-plan for a crisis? Well, I suppose if you want to see a crisis in the future, you have to pre-plan for it. The CPPG, which were covert operations that have done many illegal, nasty things behind the veil of national security. George Bush was also a descendant of the 13th top Illuminati family, the family that ties in with the British royalty of the Merovingians. The man who recently beat George Bush in the presidential race, William Jefferson, how do you say his name, Clinton, is a descendant of some Russells and is said to have more British royal blood than any other American president. as well as being a descendant of the tribe of Dan. As has been mentioned, the Russells are responsible for starting the Skull and Bones Order, the Pilgrim Society, the Watchtower Bible, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Tract Society, and the Masonic Daughters of Isabella. Archibald D. Russell, 1811-1871, a Mason from Scotland, set up still other organizations. Scotland has played a key role in the Illuminati. Governor of the Federal Reserve, and supporter of FDR, who is a member of the wealthy Mormon Illuminati Eccles family, which came over from Scotland. The Russells played a key role in the opium trade in the early 1800s, early Mormonism. And as you remember, on this Bloodlines of the Illuminati, I decided to just discuss the Russell chapter. And some of the other names in here are Rothschilds, whole chapters. Rockefeller, of course, Onassis, Lai, L.I., Kennedy, Freeman, DuPont, Collins, Bundy, Astor, who else? Going this way. Holy Merovingians, however you say their name. That'd be Van Duyn, D-U-Y-N. Krupp, C-R-U-P-P. Reynolds. You notice in newscasters or mountains or names, Russell, Reynolds, DuPont, all these people have the big corporation businesses. All right, Delano was the grandfather of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. So this was one of the Russell business partners, was Warren Delano. The Russell Company logo was the Skull and Bones. The Taft family, and by the way, if you go look up the Skull and Bones or a lot of the, you will see that it's a Masonic fraternity with the Skull and Bones symbol. And a lot of the George Washington, if you look up his images on the internet, has all these skull and bones, all-seeing eye, all these Illuminati symbols on his apron. And his monument of him, half naked with a cloth draped over his shoulder, has an all-seeing eye on the side of it. And then they got the obelisk, which is the phallic unit with the George Washington monument. So all this stuff is related. And these are the people behind the scenes, what I call the secret government, who go to the secret mystery schools, which apparently teach witchcraft. If you want me to sum it up. The Taft family, and wasn't there a Taft president, which is also related to George Bush by blood, and the Harriman family, that's popular in the wealthy family name, are two families, Taft and Harriman, that have been intimately connected to the Skull and Bones Order, which is an entry point onto the Illuminati. The Harriman family is very prominent in Bill Clinton's life. In 1979, 4 years before Sutton expose of the Skull and Bones, a book intended for oil executives entitled Initiatives in Energy, written by insider Darwin Payne of the Illuminati Skull and Bones Payne family, reveals how Solomon R. Dresser, 33-degree Mason, and B'nai B'earth, which is a huge Israeli organization involved in the Zionism program, which is getting people, forcing them if they have to, by causing distress and chaos and anarchy in the countries where they may reside, but getting people to return to Israel as part of some biblical prophecy. They call it Aliyah. Look it up on jpost.com. I was reading one of the press releases on the J-Post today. And oh my God, those people, every single comment that they typed on there from the citizens are foaming at the mouth to start bombing or nuking Iran and Lebanon and Syria and more. Those citizens were vicious for what I read today. Oh my. I'll probably do that at the end of this video, read from that. Oh my. Alright, and allowed Benai Ben Earth, allowed Harriman and Brothers to take over the Dressler Industries. The Harriman family, the Bush family, and the Hammer family, the CIA, which uses Dresser Industries as a front. This stuff's right out of a TV program. All weave in and out of Dresser Industries history. Averall Harriman and Arm & Hammer, heard of Arm & Hammer baking powder, soda. Both Illuminati were the two biggest capitalists dealing with Stalin's Russia. Arm & Hammer's father was a good friend of Lenin. Remember, this is Freemasonry and Satanism. And these Freemasons are all the people who seem to be behind the scenes running our world. And basically, as we've seen, listened, and read in that Blue Lodge Handbook, it's all to do with Israel and King Solomon's temple. It's quite plain. Hoodwinking and making American young men, middle-aged men, kiss Bibles. Strange indeed. Both Hammer and Harriman connect to victims of Illuminati mind control. There's a lot of that mind control stuff going on. We'll be doing more books on that in future videos, and we've done them on past videos. The interconnections between the Russell and Taft families, the Order of the Skull and Bones, and the China-Russia are amazing. Add the CIA and or Dresser industry, and it gets wilder. So says Fritz Springmeier in his book, Bloodlines of the Illuminati. All the banksters I keep talking about, heads of industry, CEOs, people who want to see a population reduction, because they think they own this earth. And right now they believe there's just too many people for them to maintain. Not that the earth can't maintain everybody. There's plenty of vacant land. They're polluting the oceans. They're sky spraying the skies. Installing HARP systems all over the world. And now what? 30 million chickens and turkeys have been died or killed because they say there's some kind of bird flu. Alright, the interconnections between the Russells, Taft family, Order of the Skull and Bones, it gets wilder, as I just said. When Bill Clinton was in high school, he shook hands with President John F. Kennedy. Coincidence? I think not. Look who Bill Clinton's relatives are. And the Kennedy family is in this book. So they knew they were going to get somebody like Clinton as president. American politics in the 90s have centered around the Bush family, Bill and Hillary Clinton, who are simply two sides of the same coin. Remember the word revolving dictatorship. Both help Red Clinton and both help Red China, and both are connected with the Harrimans. And then in the news recently, they said China owns the U.S. and they're negotiating to take those trillions and buy a lot of land, buy the whole U.S. What are the citizens going to do about that? Maybe when they announce it with the Pacific Trade Agreement, that's why they have the jade helm being dispersed across the country. Who knows? It's crazy out there. The stuff in the news, it's got to be hurting businesses. Who can make business decisions? Expand or buy a home or do anything, banks, do loans, with all this bizarre news. It does make it tough for everybody. Alright, so Bill Clinton was in high school, shook hands with John Kennedy. The master of ceremonies at the affair where JFK and Clinton met, was Winthrop Rockefeller. You think all this is a coincidence? At the time, governor of New York. Winthrop is rumored to secretly to be the actual father of Bill Clinton. There you go. Nothing is by accident. Who's the father of Obama, really, do you think? All right. In the film clip of this event, which the establishment media have used recently, the establishment media edited out, get bugs out here in this backyard, edited out the Winthrop Rockefeller from the scenes of Clinton and JFK. Now, why do you think they did that? Okay, Clinton has been compared to JFK and FDR by people. Perhaps in a negative sense, the comparison is appropriate. Although the elite are partial to the English language as lingua franca, as the common language, in their heart their allegiance is not to Britain, but to Satan. It says it right here. Several ex-witches, now Christians, identified Clinton's running mate Al Gore as a witch. Al Gore's book promotes several witchcraft themes such as Mother Gaia worship, New Age material. Al Gore was close friends with Arm & Hammer and the Illuminati courier who shuttled back and forth between Moscow and America on a regular basis and had homes in both countries. Hammer bankrolled both Al Gore Jr. and his father Al Gore Sr. Al Gore, according to ex-Satanists, is high up in the Illuminati and will play an important role near to the Antichrist. Can't make this stuff up. Now, in the last video, I did show a picture of Bush doing the devil sign, and Obama doing the devil sign, and the Pope doing the devil sign. And I looked all over the internet, but I couldn't find Clinton doing the devil sign. And here I turn to page 323, and Clinton's doing the devil sign. So if anybody doesn't think this is all witchcraft, you're missing something. We got some problems. Okay, Fritz Springmeier says, my newsletter, 3/1/1993, discussed some of Bill's role in Arkansas with the drug trade. The major power behind the drug trade is the Illuminati. And Bill Clinton's chief campaign advisor, James Carville, is pictured in People's Magazine wearing a pentagram in the middle of his forehead. Pentagram is a witchcraft symbol. Bill Clinton, in his inaugural speech, said, this ceremony is held in the depth of winter. But by the words we speak and the faces we show the world, we force the spring. Clinton repeated the words, we force the spring, later in the speech. That expression is a very unusual expression. To force the spring is witchcraft language. In witchcraft and Satanism, Lucifer, Baal, B-E-A-L, rises from the underworld on May 1st. Also known by the following list of names: Beltane, a major European holiday, Communism and Illuminati's chief holiday, and Walpurgis, whatever that means. The 1st of May risings bring forth the seasons of fertility, which the witches each year take credit for by claiming that their magic rituals force the spring. The ritual magic that forces the spring is done on 3 Sabbaths. The first is IMBLOG, Imblog, also known by names Candlemas, we've heard of that, by the Catholics, and Groundhog Day by the common people. The second is the vernal equinox, March 20th, in which blood and sex rituals are carried out, and the third is Beltane, May 1st, in which fire festivals are done. This is one of the fire festivals which people around the United States tell me they have witnessed from a distance. Witches believe that on May 1st, the female force completes her takeover from the male force. In true witchcraft tradition, the cabinet of Bill Clinton followed the pattern of forcing the spring in order for the female to overtake the male force. Clinton chose the position of Attorney General. The title general has a male connotation. It's warm out here today. The Attorney General position was given to a woman, but in order for the witchcraft ceremony and timing to be right, the woman couldn't take over until February 2nd, or imblog, and there had to be 3 female candidates, from which one is traditionally picked by a witchcraft coven. It's pretty crazy stuff here. So Bill Clinton giving the satanic salute with his left hand. So that's what they call it in this book here, a satanic salute. I call it the devil sign. The exoteric meaning of this means, I love you. The hand signal actually puts Illuminati slaves into a programmed hypnotic trance, which is its true esoteric power. I said earlier, I was taking a course for my business, and the instructor of the course kept doing this. And he looked at me strange, and I don't know if he looked at everybody strange. But I'm just wondering, now that I read this, was he trying to see who was hypnotizable? Hypnotic trance. If anybody out there goes into a trance, I'm telling you now, get out of the trance. You are untranced. I don't want to put anybody in a trance. Center-left Webb Hubbell, Hillary's law partner, who was rewarded for his dirty work for Hillary and Bill and friends as associates Attorney General for the U.S. Hillary and Illuminati Grand Dane, so Hillary is a Illuminati Grand Dane, outranks Bill in the hierarchy. Below, hangars used at Mena, Arkansas by CIA Black Ops, cocaine smuggling. Witnesses have connected to Bill Clinton too. Alright. It's crazy stuff. All these people, Illuminati, Masonic lodges, witchcraft, occultic, secret mystery schools. Look up, go watch some William Cooper videos. FreemanTV.com, Infowars.com, SteveQuayle.com, Hagman and Hagman, Dave Hodges, Drudge Report, all kinds of websites and videos. And after you've watched enough of it, as I have going on my 11th year, thousands of videos, hundreds of books, hundreds and hundreds of magazines, hundreds and maybe thousands of videos, like I just said, thousands and thousands of press releases, I'm coming to a common denominator. These people have been behind the scenes running things forever. Probably you know that. Alright, what do we got here? Checking the time on this. Further, Clinton told us how he would force the spring in his inaugural speech. On the 666th word of his inaugural speech, Clinton launched into a sentence on sacrifice. Oh my God. The 666th word, 666. It will not be easy. It will require sacrifice. Clinton gave the hand signal of Satanists at the end of the speech. The Newsweek magazine headlined its story, New Age President Takes Office. January 25, 1993. The Clinton would consider his cabinet a coven is not so far-fetched. That most of his cabinet tying closely with the Illuminati. The Council of Foreign Relations is an upper level of the visible arm of the Illuminati. There's many organizations: Council of Foreign Relations, Trilateral Commission, Bilderberger Group, Club of Rome, Bohemian Grove, where Alex Jones snuck in and videoed the satanic ritual cremation of care, where they had a big owl with a fire in the belly and throw a baby into. All the men dress in long robes, apparently naked underneath, according to witnesses, and gay men are shipped in as part of this satanic ritual. And I saw the video, you can watch it on YouTube, and this screeching and howling in the background is right out of a horror flick movie. Alright, Slick Willie Clinton, CFR, TC Trilateral Commission, principal in various Illuminati front organizations such as the DLC, chosen to be a Rhodes Scholar. His wife Hillary is publicly known to practice shamanism witchcraft. I didn't know that. And secretly outranks Bill Clinton as the Grand Dame within the Illuminati. She was promoted from a Mother of Darkness to the Grand Dame at the age of 40. Go get this book. What an invaluable collection if you're any kind of a researcher, want to know this stuff. Who's who and what they're into. Secretary of Defense Les Aspin, CFR Specialist Les Aspin, Socialist Les Aspin, chose for his top assistant the pro-communist Jew Morton Haparin. Haparin was also director of the ACLU and worked loyally for Henry Kissinger. You put Kissinger in a 666 calculator, it's 666. As a National Security Council, Henry Kissinger. So you got a guy in charge of the National Security Council whose name equals 666. He's been indicted for war crimes on the internet. You can check that out. Or they're trying to indict him or something. Long report. I printed it out. Secretary of Labor Robert Reich. So hot out here. I can't speak right. A Zionist Jew, and the Zionism I'm learning is very real. They do want to go for the New World Order, and the New Age is part of it, Luciferian satanic witchcraft worship. We're in trouble if my research is correct. Over 50% of Clinton's major appointees were Zionist Jews, and again, I didn't believe that when Tex Mars, a famous author, publisher, M-A-R-R-S, Tex, T-E-X-X, sent me a pamphlet telling me that all the corporations were run by Jews. And I said, come on, they're only a couple percent of the United States population. But I did go look up all the major corporations and went on Wikipedia, looked up who the CEO was. And yes, indeed, they were all Jews, and I made a binder and a folder, and I have it all stored in my office. So all these people running our world, whether it's from the lodges, the mystery schools, the secret organizations, Trilateral Commission, Heritage Foundation, Ford Foundation, Carnegie Foundation, all have been taken over, are all fronts for this New World Order satanic religion thing. Operating out of the Freemasonic lodges all over the world. Strange considering Jews only make up 2% of the population. Attorney General Janet Reno, murderer of innocent people in Waco, Texas. We all know about the motorcycle people. Apparently that's a big conspiracy theory topic right now. Something unusual. Apparently they say there were some snipers there that were shooting specific motorcycle people. And they, had created the big hoopla and arrested everybody to cover up they were targeting selected individuals. So it said on a video that I watched today. Notice that Reno, who is Jewish, there we go again, and also Alan Greenspan is Jewish, and he said to the congressman they were running a program called Creative Economic Destruction in the United States, and you can go look it up on the internet, on YouTube, and watch him say that. So Reno was Jewish, on the board of directors of the Jewish Illuminati terrorist organization of the Anti-Defamation League. So the Jewish people have an Anti-Defamation League. Now I was thinking about this yesterday. Do the Chinese have an Anti-Defamation League? Not that I know of. The Russians? Japan? India? France? Spain? Brazil? Argentina? Canada? Mexico? Hungary? South Africa? Kenya? Syria? Egypt? Nobody in the world does. How come this dot on the map, and how come this dot on the map, small amount of people, are in charge of all these organizations and banks and businesses and government and all that? And what was it? Tim Reifat said something the other day on the Reese show on Rhine, R-E-E-S-E, I think. Tim Reifat and Reese, look it up. You can see some of their videos. He's a regular on the Reese show, Tim Reifat, R-I-F-A-T. And he's from the UK, lives in the UK, United Kingdom, Britain, London. And he said that they refer to London or the UK as Israeli occupied. And it made me think that the United States, according to what it says here, and my investigation, and text marks, and many other books, Henry Ford and so many more, the United States is Israeli occupied. They have all the high echelon positions. Who knows this stuff? The ADL could not stand the idea of Christians believing that they are true Jews. Many people have told this author that Janet Reno was a male who had undergone a sex change. Now we got this Bruce Jenner guy being publicized everywhere. The propaganda for the gay agenda, said Satanism now, is crazy. If these sources are true, it would be just one more example of the Clintons' liberal sexual attitude. And there's some really crazy stuff you can read about the Clintons and their sexual parties in the White House. Hillary chasing a woman and Clinton chasing a man. It's one video I watched. True or not? A lot of books out there. Kathy O'Brien wrote the one about mind control and sex with some of these people under mind control. Look up Kathy O'Brien. Federico Pino was Clinton's appointed Secretary of Transportation. If he treats the country like he treated Denver, then watch out. Pino got the new Denver International Airport project continued against all logic. They built an airport way out from the city on a big plateau, I guess, where they built, apparently, this super underground city. The airport has a Masonic cornerstone, and of course we know that if anybody's ever looked, the paintings inside the Denver airport are spooky, to put it mildly. The airport is full of occult artwork, I just said that, such as a demon statue that looks down on travelers and has a secret prison built beneath it, which will greatly assist the world order if martial law is declared. And need I remind anybody, here in June 2015, June 8th, that we're only 7 days away from Jade Helm from starting, so they say. What's going to happen? Do they have me in some kind of computer that they're going to round up people who know what's going on? Am I on the red list? Are you on the red list for watching this video? Crazy? In the U.S., Denver is slated to become an important New World Order city, a capital. A number of the Clintons' high appointees are homosexuals. There is a high correlation between homosexuality and the occult, and also a big correlation between the types of Jews Clinton has chosen and Satanism. Historically, some of the most rabid anti-Christians are Satanists from the Jewish background. Freemasonry and Satanism. Remember, that's the title of my series. And I've been tying the Freemasons and Satanism, and now the Illuminati, and Knights of Columbus, and Rosicrucians, and Heritage Foundation, Trilateral Commission, Council of Foreign Relations, Janet Reno, Bill Clinton. During the inauguration week, witches, homosexuals, during the inauguration week, witches, homosexuals, and homosexual witches gathered at the White House for various celebrations to perform, to hold rituals and other events. These people were invited by the president for various things. Clearly, those who are known publicly as a witch or a homosexual are considered honorable by the president. And we know that Obama said during his inauguration speech on his re-election that homosexuality and gun removal from the citizens were his two top priorities. You think the world's not going to go along with this New World Order, New Age, satanic, sexual, New World Order government type thing? And do you think they need to have the people disarmed so that they can control and re-educate them and kill off the people they don't want, as the U.S. Georgia Guidestones say? Look it up. Alright, what is spiritual significance of the Clintons? Baal worship was simply an ancient form of Satanism. Jezebel was the daughter of King Etebal of Tyre. Tyre, remember, that's in the Freemasonic handbook, as the king of Tyre and the king of Israel, Solomon, and then, of course, the master builder, Hiram Abiff, building the temple when the ruffians killed Hiram Abiff. Okay, so Tyre was an ardent Baal worshipper. B-A-A-L. Wow, that's a piece of news there that ties this in with the Blue Lodge Handbook. So all that stuff, those rituals I said, threat of death and kissing Bible and all that, blindfolding them, putting even a chisel up to your chest, seem like all kinds of satanic rituals. Jezebel was a satanic high priestess, a real witch. She had 450 prophets of Baal and 400 prophets of the groves. She put the true ministers of God to death, and that's what they're saying they're going to do to the Christians now when they get this New World Order kickoff going. Round them up, and apparently some truck drivers, as I've said before in videos, if you'll look it up on YouTube, that they had seen what they were delivering with their semi-tractor trailers, truckloads of guillotines. Her husband used his political office as she directed to further the power of darkness. Get his book. Can't make this stuff up. Along with the Jezebel spirit comes the Ahab spirit. Hillary and Bill fit the Jezebel and Ahab spirit exactly. Alright, unless one is aware of the connection between the Jezebel spirit and the Elijah type of prophet, and known the full orb of what the Jezebel spirit is. And you see these orbs when they make crop circles have been videotaped. And when the crop circle is being developed, this glowing orb is flying all around it, apparently doing it, causing it, which is also the description of a lot of UFOs and aliens. An example, Clinton is an inside player. How people are controlled. It may be blackmail, threats to their lives, greed, honor, pride, programming, implants, 1,001 ways of mind control, loyalty to superiors, etc. If someone were to ask me how is President Clinton controlled, I might answer something like this. First, the Illuminati have spent the last 20 years training him. Remember when he was young, he shook hands with John Kennedy, and Rockefeller was present there, apparently his father. So yes, he was trained, and so was Obama. coached all the way up to the top. An insider reveals that Clinton has been receiving special training by the elite for 20 years. The Rhodes Scholarship is an entry point to the Illuminati. It is one way of being a first-degree Illuminatus. The Illuminati work off of the Halogen principle. The Halogen principle is, the Israelis use it all the time, is they pay some mercenaries, some traders, let's call them Palestine traders, to their own people. They probably get 25,000 or something, to lob some missiles into Israel, so Israel can say, look, they're bombing us, and then send their aircraft and start wiping the smithereens out of them. So in other words, you have to cause an incident, like they've been doing with Sandy Hook, Boston bombing, and now the Waco motorcycle shooting, to justify that their martial law or something will happen to remove the guns from the citizens. They're going to go, we have to take the guns, the people, there's too many shootings. But they created the shooting instances. Carroll Quigley was one of those intellectuals like H.G. Wells who believed in a New World Order, and that the elite wanted to bring it in. They're serious about this, people. Anybody watching this video, share it with people, this material I've been getting out there. These men believe that the West should lead the world into the New World Order. So once they take down the USA, everybody else will fall like dominoes, because apparently the USA was the most powerful nation in the world right now. That they started, and the USA citizens have just watched them take down like dominoes all the Middle East, and most people did nothing, said nothing. I've tried to talk to people. I suggest that people should read H.G. Wells' book, New World Order. And I've been reading H.G. Wells lately, and I told you my next video would be H.G. Wells. And so I'm getting to learn about him. Says some very interesting things, and I've been reading it every day lately. And his Open Conspiracy in his book. Another good book to understand what the elite have planned is Manly P's Hall, Facing the Future. He's a high-level Freemason. See, everything here has to do with the Freemasons too. Not off topic. And then, anyways, Oswald Spangler also has a good book to read, The Hour of Decision. The last few chapters of Lionel Curtis' World Order, 1939, is also good in explaining how they want a world commonwealth of states. Think Hunger Games, the movie. Think Divergent. Think Georgia USA Guidestones, where they want a 90% population reduction. Think 1913, when they took over the U.S. Reserve. They created the Federal Reserve, which is a financial organization owned by the Rothschilds, Bank of Germany, Bank of England. The world Illuminati people were at least 9 or 10 times since 1913. They've crashed the systems, and the citizens of the USA sold off their properties, pennies on the dollar. These elitists that control our banks and everything have printing machines. They're the ones who bought up everybody's property for pennies on the dollar. Then they allowed the economy to grow, and all those things and properties and farmers and ranches and factories and everything else, houses that they got from people, they could sell back to the people for 100 times what they paid for it during the next 10 years, and then they would crash it again and do the same thing again. I have the books. I've been going over the books. People need to wake up. Two organizations that are related and that suddenly popped up were the Progressive Policy Institute and the Democratic Leadership Council. Then the New York Times, the Washington Post, and the LA Times, all newspapers owned and controlled by the Illuminati, began running articles with the opinions of the PPI in them. So that would be the Progressive Policy Institute. So they've been mind controlling, propaganda, brainwashing feeding we the citizens information that they want us to think. Like I said, I did read that one article today that I was looking on the internet at stevequail.com, and the viciousness which the Israelis, I gotta read that to you, want to nuke. They weren't even being nice about anything. They wanted to nuke everybody. The citizens holding their children in their laps on this comment thing. The Rockefellers were the highest backers of Clinton that I have discovered. It is possible that Clinton has ties to the other Illuminati kings also. So all these families, I guess the leader of each of the families is a king. Clinton is part of the Illuminati. Clinton, while governor of Arkansas, which is Rockefeller's backyard, got involved in the elite's drug running. I did a video in one of my previous videos recently. The 2 CIA agents who got caught with 35 pounds of cocaine with black scorpion labels on them coming across the Texas border, and some vigilante citizens who were armed caught them. The 2 guys presented CIA IDs. When the CIA was contacted, the CIA denied acknowledgement of these 2 men. So the government is into the drugs, supplying it to the people, shipped the jobs to China, causing all the chaos and economic destruction, as Alan Greenspan said. Look it up. Don't believe a darn thing I say. Go look this stuff up. A reporter from a small newspaper in a small Arkansas town asked why Larry Nichols worked for the Arkansas Development Finance Authority. The question seemed innocent enough, but the answer began to uncover a whole web of intrigue that involved the drug running and the illegal arms shipments to Central America that both Bush and Clinton were involved in. That's why I say Bush, Clinton, Obama, it doesn't matter. They all work for the Illuminati, which is also part of all the Masonic lodges, which apparently is all directed towards making Israel the rulership, dictators of the world, enslaving all the citizens, and they're into satanic worship. Oh my God. Clinton has been cheating on his wife constantly, and he has been cheating on the American public constantly. And now people are even considering Hillary Clinton as a president. Well, worse, they're considering Jeb Bush. For years, the mainstream foreign press has reported on these scandals, while the American press was silent. The author has foreign newspaper clippings of the Clinton sexual scandals that has never reached the public in the U.S. Fritz Springmeier, get his book. And these things, when you read these books, you can Yahoo search or Google search or whatever, and find this proof and write your own book. Because it's such a blanket conspiracy, horrible deception for the world. The scandal between Clinton and a black woman who has a son sired by Clinton was supposed to be suppressed by the establishment media. So Clinton and a black woman had sex and sired a son. Just speculating. Could that be Obama? No, I don't think so. The age. Crazy. I think it might be one of these families. A Rothschild might have been Obama's father. From research, I didn't make it up, I read it. Apparently, Michael Rockefeller was over in the jungle doing a documentary. And there's a photo of him with a little black boy between his legs sitting on a log. Anyways, he went out on a boat and it capsized and he's died. So the one web page I read that detailed it all with photos, detailed that Obama was Michael Rockefeller's son. And then, of course, the CIA took him over to Hawaii to that lady who managed a bank, who apparently was ex-CIA, to raise Obama if he was a Rockefeller. Just saying, it's what I read, it's what I've shown people. True or not, Who knows? The whole show is controlled by the elite. The establishment news media decides what it considers news, and this gives it substantial power to manipulate public thought. When the American media does expose Clinton, they have an ulterior agenda. And of course, all these people are disposable, expendable, if it furthers the New World agenda. They'll throw anybody in under the bus. The first point I'm making is that Clinton is an Illuminati insider. Clinton is a Mason in the Martizist order, M-A-R-T-I-N-I-S-T. So we're back to Masonry, Freemasonry. Has promoted Freemasonry's demolay. He is a Bilderberger, and he was selected as a Rhodes Scholar. Clinton gave a promise in a speech before becoming president that insiders would have no place in his administration. If people study the situation, his appointments have all been insiders. And then, of course, Obama says, change, change, change. And that guy did an exact duplicate of everything Bush did. I don't know if Obama has overthrown more country than Bush did. But again, they play to the tune of the Zionist in Israel, who feverishly seem to want to nuke Iran, and are probably the people who are occupy the UK, United Kingdom, England, London, and who occupy the USA, and we don't even know it. All Clinton's key military advisors are CIA and NSA men who feed Clinton doctored information. Note how Clinton put in another Rhodes Scholar, James Woolsey, as head of the CIA. Woolsey worked as one of Kissinger's henchmen in the NSC. Clinton's Secretary of State, Warren Christopher, who is a part of the CFR, Council of Foreign Relations, would be there to help steer Clinton. Senator Lloyd Bernstein, who has been a henchman for the Illuminati over the years, got to be Secretary of Treasurer. This is like letting the fox guard the chicken coop. I love Fritz Springmeier's writing. I could go on and on. Should I do any more? Let's see what else I can go here. Okay, I'm going to move on to some other subject. We've had enough of Clinton. This is crazy. C.T. Russell. Remember, I'm doing the chapter on the Russells. See the name at the top? Let's see here. The early Mormons were sealed to many spouses. One of the most important things in Satanism is sealing. That's where I got the idea when you Freemasons, when you kiss the Bible, you're sealing. Everything is sealed. One doesn't hear the term sealing used a lot. It is rare to have someone mention sealing. I had to learn about it from an ex-Satanist. If one leaves off studying Satanism and begins studying the many occults and religions, Masonic lodges, Freemasonry, one begins hearing about sealing again when one gets to Mormonism. Mormon men and women, contrary to Luke 20.35, are sealed to each other in the Mormon temple marriages. The early Mormons were sealed to many spouses. The Mormon sealing is very similar to what is done in witchcraft called head fasting, and it is also similar to marriage sealing in Satanism. There was one lady that I read in a report that married a bridge, and the bridge's name was Diablo, which is the devil. So she married the bridge over in Europe, and it was named Diablo. Joseph Smith, whose family practiced witchcraft, that's the creator of the Mormon Church, had many types of seals around their house. And remember in the Mark Master degree, they had to pick their own mark in some kind of little circle, I suspect, and that was their mark. So it's kind of a seal, I guess. So Joseph Smith, whose family practiced witchcraft, had many types of seals around their house, which were used in magic. According to the Magic Book of 1830, Demonology and Witchcraft by Walter Scott, page 165 and 220 to 221, seer stones were to be anointed with the oil and sealed by their holy characters. Joseph Smith, the leader of the Mormon Church, the creator, had a cane with a serpent on top of it and astrological signs below. Magic staff and canes are important in Satanism. The seal of Mars was carved on the Smith family anthem, which was used by the family to draw circles of magic incantations. In 1835, a ritual done by Joseph Smith to commune with the spirit messengers recorded in by Oliver Crowley. Joseph Smith used 2 seals of the earth to conjure up the spirit. I told you the story about Hitler, that Rabbi Marvin Anelman, leader of the Jewish Congress of the USA, if you can believe anybody, I guess you can believe that rabbi, that in Hitler's diary, it is said that they abducted a young gypsy man in Munich, Germany, laid him on an altar and sacrificed him while they had a young lady of the cult that Hitler belonged to there, so that when they sacrificed the man and a spirit appeared into this dimension, was supposed to impregnate the lady laying next door. And according to Hitler's diary and Rabbi Marvin Antelman's book To Eliminate the Opate, the entity appeared but failed to impregnate the young lady. Maybe the entity should have got some Viagra. But would it work on a ghost? You gotta have a sense of humor on all this stuff. Anyways, getting to the Russell family, the leader of the Illuminati, one of the 13 families, and the Jehovah's Witnesses. Alright, Scotland repeatedly appears as a source of much of the religious heresy connected with the elite's power. That C.T. Russell's family was in Scotland for a period, and also from the German states, which seemed to be a hotbed for Jewish Satanism. These are these Zionist Jews now. Maybe only a coincidence, but then again it might be a clue to understanding the origins of the Watchtower Society, the Jehovah's Witnesses, where they published that little pamphlet called The Watchtower. And remember Bohemian Grove in California, where they have a big owl and throw a baby into the fire, and they dress naked and chip in gay men and scream and holler, and satanic witchcraft is from this same area here. So you can tie into Bohemian Grove, you can tie in all these lodges and Mormonism and Jehovah's Witnesses, and probably a lot of the other religions have turned toward the dark side. The author's previous book, The Watchtower and the Masons, so apparently Fritz Springmeier wrote The Watchtower and the Masons, tells a story of Aryan history began at the University in Edinburgh, Scotland. And moving on here just to get this video so it doesn't go too far. Others are named after Masonic themes. These are Masonic organizations. Mystic Tie, Mystic Circle, Rising Sun, New Jerusalem, Mitzvah. The Watchtower Society tells us in the issue of Golden Age that Mitzvah translates into Watchtower. And the author also located 4 Masonic chapters so far in the world that are named from Mitzvah. So I'm tying this in with the Blue Lodge Handbook here. And 3 are these in the C.T. Russell's area of Pennsylvania. These are all Yorkite RAM Royal Arch Masons, lodges like Russell belonged to. They are the Mitzvah chapter number 288 in Allegheny, Pennsylvania. Mitzvah chapter 252 in Mahoney City, Pennsylvania. The Mitzvah chapter 96 of the Grand Commandery of Knights Templar of PA. What could be important enough to Masonry to call these lodges watchtowers? The highest Masons who get cryptic and mystic are exposed to Ecanian magic. Ecanian magic, where the use of magical watchtowers is the key to the heart, so to speak. Iconian magic. It is interesting to note that several of the Masons who founded new cults were fascinated in the name and person of Enoch. So it's Enochian magic. And for instance, Joseph Smith Jr. and Charles T. Russell. So Joseph Smith was the creator of the Mormon Church, and Charles T. Russell was into lots of things, also being the creator of the Skull and Bones. Joseph Smith gave himself the name Enoch, called his first community the City of Enoch, and created the Communal Order of Enoch. This is the Mormons now. Further, Joseph Smith followed the Jewish, goes all the way back to the Jewish people. So all these people probably are Jewish people incognito and changed their names. Just saying. That's been proven to be true on many cases. Freemasons believed that the correct pronunciation of the sacred name of the Tetragrammaton has been revealed to Enoch. The Enochian magic of the Tetragrammaton plays an important part. Each letter represents a different element. So all these things like 9/11, Oklahoma City bombing, and all these things are all satanic rituals, sacrifices. What that in the Oklahoma City bombing? Wasn't there a daycare center? Enoch may be considered as representative of that class of mankind which in the future will be in harmony with God and have eternal life. The ones who will be brought to perfection during the millennium age. That's what C.T. Russell said in 1907. The guy who established the Skull and Bones, his family. Russell was careful not to exceed what he could appear to back with Scripture, and he was not about to break his Masonic oath, remember the threat of death, of secrecy, and blab about Enoch and the Enochian magic. Russell says what happened to Enoch seems to be one of those secret things which Moses says belongs unto God. That's in Deuteronomy 29-29. C.T. Russell's membership records in the Masonic Knights Templar are kept in Ireland. This is a worldwide background. In Revelations, of course, it says Revelation in the back of the Bible, the last book. Jews who are not Jews who call themselves Jews but are not. And there's a bunch of videos about Kyrgyzstan. Apparently, where this whole country, the king deemed everybody to switch to the religion of Judaism, to be Jews, and they had no Jewish blood in them at all. And apparently, some people say that's where all these people come from, which is part of Russia. Interesting. More coincidences here. Because we went over that book on occult theocracy in the last video, number 11, and one prior to that. So in this book, C.T. Russell's membership records in the Masonic Knights Templar are kept in Ireland. The Blue Lodge records belong to the Grand Lodge of PA. Lady Queenborough, in her book Occult Theocracy, published in 1933, notes on page 539 C.T. Russell's Masonic membership. So all the stuff I've been sharing with you, I can tie all together. Let's just look forward here to see if there's anything explosive we should do. And I got all these little ticks jumping on my body. C.T. Russell would never have mentioned anything of his higher esoteric Masonic knowledge to anyone. The penalties for such higher secrets are harsh, as we know from going over the Blue Lodge Handbook. This author knows of some cases where men who talked were killed. And it's got a lot of New Age stuff here, I'll show you. Spiritual Table of Union, Casual Witchcraft of Fire, Watchtower of Fire, Mental Watchtower of Air, Astral Watchtower of Water, Etheric Watchtower of Earth. Should all the bodies of the planes except for the physical be collectively taken together, The magician calls this the body of light. New Age, Masonic, Rosicrucian. Magicians will then speak in terms of leaving their bodies and entering into the watchtowers, the body of light. To be an advanced magician, you must be able to enter the watchtowers. It is an established fact. The Illuminists all learn this magic and practice it. There you go, tying more in together what I keep saying. All this is the New Age, and that's why they're doing the gay sex agenda. It's all part of Luciferian satanic witchcraft magic, using your kundalini, getting your spirit to rise up into your body and go into the spiritual world realm. A good portion of the Christian Kabbalists in Europe at that time were converted Jews. I just said that. So these Jews turned into Christians so they could infiltrate our society. And in the meantime, they're doing all this magic. Here's something else interesting here. We talked about the Palladians. From the second WT Watchtower, President Rutherford's era of writing, we find the Watchtower Society, a yearbook, 1928, repeating again in 1929, saying, the stellar group, known as the constellation of Pleiades, situated in the north, seems to be marked by the Bible as the center of the celestial universe, the place of the throne of Jehovah Witnesses, created by Russell, part of the Illuminati, which is part of all the Masonic lodges, Freemasonry. Skull and Bones, Clinton belonged to one, did the devil sign, George Bush did the devil sign, Obama did the devil sign. Established in heaven above all, Jehovah directs all things of the depthless heaven. From there he will in due time direct all things of the earth through the Christ. That didn't say Jesus, it said Christ. Christ means anointed one. So when you say Jesus Christ, you're saying Jesus was the anointed one. When you don't say Jesus Christ and you just say Christ, you're talking about an unknown anointed one. So as my deduction goes. Alright, Billy Graham, whose connection to the New World Order are described in my book, Be Wise as Serpents. So you got Billy Graham as part of this. Stated in his book, Angels, God's Secret Agents. Waco, Texas, Word Books, 1986. And some Christian writers have speculated that UFOs could very well be part of God's angelic host who preside over the physical affairs of the universal creation. Hence is why I'm also doing the videos on UFOs and aliens. So I think you got the idea. It might behoove you to get this book. Nice thick book. Lots of information. Tying all this stuff I've been talking about. Freemasonry and Satanism. Little did I know it would tie together so well. And I picked such a perfect name. To be honest with you. Alright, I'm going to do a press release or two and end this video. Alright, here we go. A press release report. Dated yesterday. IDF rehearsing for a nightmare scenario. 4,000 killed in days. This is over there in Israel. Unbelievable. And here in the United States we have the Jade Helm. And I think since 1940, 50 to 1960 something there was a press release, and I have a copy of it printed out, that during that 20, 30 year period, whatever, 20 years, the United States gave aid to Israel to the tune of $90 billion. During that, say, 20-year period. Like I'll find a document. You can look it up. Use those keywords. U.S. aid to Israel, $90 billion. And that was the same amount that the entire world got during that same period of time, if they got that much. So the dot on the map got $90 billion. This is how strong the Anti-Defamation League here is in the United States, and the political PACs, action committees, the Israeli PACs, have control over all of our senators and representatives and government officials and presidents, via also, as we know from my studies here, the Blue Lodges, Scottish Rite, York Rite, Knights of Columbus, all these organizations doing their King Solomon satanic rituals and kissing the Bible, I guess sealing the deal, magic witchcraft. And then Benjamin Netanyahu, in my recent video I showed you a letter in my videos that he says at Fink's Bar that the United States is a golden calf to be fleeced over and over and over, again and again and again, his words. And that they hate us and they want to destroy us and make us, punish us for not accepting slavery. Who are these people? Well, we got the IDF. This is the military over there in Israel. Security forces are currently rehearsing and preparing for a scenario in which Israeli enemies launch a carpet missile attack that Iron Dome will be unable to counter. Now, I think between the United States and the United Nations and Israel and everybody else, these people with no money would not be able to launch any attack. Nevertheless, a carpet bombing attack. Now remember, since 9/11 and before, the George Bush Sr. Attacking Iraq, George Bush Jr.'s shock and awe, incinerating whole platoons, battalions of troops and stuff on Iraq soil. They didn't even go to any other country. And since 9/11, what would it be safe to say? Million, if not millions, have been displaced, and who knows, uncountable numbers of people killed, and even using depleted uranium in the rocket heads, or the bullet, the large-sized shells they fired. Depleted uranium. The U.S., NATO, Israel occupied USA, we should say, and Israel occupied NATO, and Israel occupied the UK. They own the banks, the bloodlines of the Illuminati I just went over. So they've been at this plan, from my evidence, from what I've shared in these 12 videos on series number 61, Freemasonry and Satanism. They've been at this for a couple hundred years, at least, seriously. And Prime Minister Sharon said of Israel, in a heated argument in their Congress, don't worry about the USA, we control the USA. So they're saying the United States is Israeli occupied. And we know in China also, the heads of all the elites there are part of the Masonic family and lodges also. And after World War II, where our young men and women died fighting Germany in communism, in the Cold War communism, what did our leaders, which are not really our leaders, Israeli occupied, so all these people come from the lodges and Illuminati and secret organizations, moved all the manufacturing to China and created the situation for the financial reversal of strength to take down the USA, as Albert Pike said in the late 1880s to a letter that he wrote to a friend in Europe that was in the British Museum for years, the letter. So everything's a lie. And now they got Jade Helm, and they're getting ready to pull the plug on the cash. And say that, you know, what's funny is if everybody didn't listen to these people when they crashed the stock market, and we all just laughed and went about our business and took the cash we had and bought things and paid for things and started paying our citizens in cash, and we went to a cash society. The money's not worth anything, just run down to the bank, let's get a few wheelbarrows and have our own society and use the cash to pay each other. So nothing would have to change in the USA. It's all mental, psychological. Because when they crash the stock market and they say the dollar is worth nothing, then people will think it's worth nothing. But if we all use it to go about our business, to do fair trade with each other, there's nothing they can do. We don't need their banks. You should stop using their banks and only use cash. But that's not what the New World Order wants, and I suppose they would want to microchip everybody and know everything you buy, every pack of cigarettes, every six-pack of beer, anything, and you're only going to be allowed to have so much of anything. Just think of the movie Hunger Games, Divergent, all that crazy stuff they have that Hollywood's putting out, which is into the occult and witchcraft and Satanism. And if I keep on talking, I'm never going to get to this document. Security forces are currently rehearsing and preparing for a scenario in which Israeli enemies launch a carpet missile attack. So Israeli is the Zionism, people who want to rule the world from Mount Zion, Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, and they've been killing Arabs and all around them for years, and they're worried about a carpet missile attack that their Iron Dome will be unable to counter. So just because they have that fear, you're not going to believe what they want to do. In this scenario, up to 4,000 Israelis will be killed in the first days of the attack. So you're not going to believe what they want to do. Iran is seeking to cover Israel with intense fire. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warned in a special briefing for journalists at the week's end. Remember, this is the guy that says he hates the USA, and we're the golden calf to be fleeced again and again and again, and we're going to be punished until we love our slavery or something, he said in his letter. And Finks Bar, whether that's true or not, that's what that famous author from apparently Germany had posted, that I had shown you, that I had copied. And that Prime Minister Sharon, even if that letter from Benjamin Netanyahu is false, Prime Minister Sharon and all the other books, Protocols of Zion, there's so much documentation, the 90 billion. Tex Mars, all the CEOs are Israel, Jewish, Zionist Jewish folks. You can't get a Christian to do, good Christian, what these Zionist Jewish folks will do, where their own Bible book, the Torah, says that we're cattle, non-Jews, to be slaughtered and enslaved and used. And even having sex with non-Jews isn't even a sin or adultery, because it's just cattle. Crazy. In Lebanon, the Iranians are inserting the most advanced weapons in the world, strengthening Hezbollah, so that it can hit any spot in Israel. Netanyahu was quoted as saying in the daily Mocha Rashon, R-A-S-H-O-N, they are trying to build a second front in the Golan Heights, and of course Gaza. And if you look at a map since 1946, the new created country of Israel was just a small portion. I don't want to be doing a 6 sign here. But if you look at the map, they grow and grow and grow and grow. Now only the Palestinians have a small portion. So you don't believe what you see. Israel's not advancing anywhere. The maps, they just grow like that because, we watered the map and the plants grow. Our rival is serious, and we have no room for smugness on any front. Former Prime Minister and Defense Minister Ehud Barak, he's got the same name as Obama, also sounded dire warnings last week regarding Hezbollah's ability. So I wonder, what would you do if you lived in any one of those dozen of Arab nations and you were daily being slaughtered? Would you fight back? And now that you're going to fight back, they want to nuke you. So like the USA, they think everybody should be thankful to be able to be enslaved by these Zionist Jewish folks. We must not be smug or take our superiority as something as a self-evident and supposedly God-given. We must not be smug and take our superiority as something that is self-evident and supposedly God-given. So they think God gave them their superiority of intellect. Meanwhile, in the USA, they put fluoride in the water to lower the citizens' IQ. Did you know that? The fluoride? Harvard did a study. Look it up. I don't make this stuff up. This country has no choice but to reach conclusions, Barack warned. This would be the former prime minister. One cannot deal with this challenge by deploying in all the places from which missiles can be fired. These things are very expensive. Iron Dome and Magic Wand, Arrow and Super Arrow are expensive projects. One cannot exaggerate the importance of safeguarding security, he added, and one cannot exaggerate the earth-shaking shock that can take place when it turns out that we did not prepare and we did not understand the urgency and practicality of challenges of this sort, and need to translate clear thought to conclusions. We will find ourselves in a situation where citizens suddenly discover that one cannot walk slowly or lackadaisically to the bomb shelters, knowing that nothing can happen, as we did during Operation Protective Edge. These things must be done now. We must not wait. So over there in Israel, they're beating the war drums. So why don't we get some comments here from people? This one here is Sea Light. Preemptive massive strike on all fronts is what is necessary. Look, Barack, you're the one who pulled us out of Lebanon. It's a bit late to start giving advice. And with this so-called leadership, who is more worried about world opinion than the security of its citizens, it's amazing that this scenario is just now coming to their attention. Also, what's needed is arm all Jewish Israelis immediately. So they want to arm all Jewish Israelis immediately. And here, our Barack Obama, and they got their Prime Minister Barack, but our Barack Obama wants to disarm all citizens while they're promoting the New Age agenda, gay agenda, and satanic Lucifer agenda per the Bible, and microchipping everybody, removing the guns, and while they're doing Jade Helm, dispersing troops all across the United States to apparently pretend to abduct dissidents, people who will not go along with the New World Order, or like cash being made illegal, and everybody have to be microchipped. Arm all Jewish immediately. Why wait for the inevitable to happen? We're surrounded on all fronts. They moved their little dot of a country right in the middle of the Arab territory, and they're surrounded on all fronts, and they've been killing people ever since. As usual, we have total enuma that Hashem will help us. Hashem. But he wants us to do our whatever to prepare. Some writing in Israel here. So I guess this God entity is Hashem. No joke, what are we waiting for? That's one person. Another guy, Dina. Exactly, Sea Light. Look at the Six-Day War in 1967. We didn't wait for Egypt to attack us. We flew right over their parked planes and bombed the hell out of them, destroying their entire air force. When Israel takes preemptive action, she always wins big. You go look up this document. Dina, we also destroyed the Jordanian and the Syrian Air Force on day one. Even Mappa, labor, knew how to fight a war in those days. And they got pictures of these people. Look like a nice little middle-aged lady here. Another one here, Mara says, I am totally in favor of a preemptive strike, but we're not fighting Syria, Jordan, or Egypt, all of whom we shared borders with. So they bombed everybody they shared borders with. And of course, Putin didn't go along with attacking Syria, so they overthrew the president of the Ukraine and caused Russia a lot of suffering and pain. Never to say anything about the poor Ukrainians, which 3 days after they took the president down and put in a puppet president, they shipped out 35 tons of their gold over to the U.S. from the Ukraine. Stole their gold, I think. You gotta love these Illuminati people. Zionism, Jesuits, they're all in cahoots. Alright, so Marion says, I'm totally in favor of a preemptive strike. We have a long way to go around Saudi, giving them time to track us with technology that didn't exist 67 or even fewer years ago. Ivan says the only solution is to destroy the enemy first. So, what are they going to do? Destroy the U.S.? But wait a minute. The U.S. is Israeli occupied now. All of our leaders are Israeli puppets or Israelis. Alan Greenspan, Secretary General, what was her name? Chernoff, the guy in charge of Homeland Security, FEMA. All these guys are Israeli henchmen, I call them. Then they were sending Israeli police professionals to train our police. You can look this up on the internet. I printed out at least 3 different documents on how to gain dominant control over us USA citizens. Yale says the actual problem is that Israel has too often stopped short and didn't win its wars, so the dot on the map wants to tackle the world. Israel must make clear to her enemies that she is willing and able to destroy the enemy. This would prevent war, but again, missiles are fired from Gaza, and what happens? And I keep saying, it's all a ruse, it's all a false flag. The Israelis, the NATO people, the high-level banksters trying to get the New World Order are paying traitor Arabs and mercenaries to go in there and pretend that they're Palestinians. So then they have the excuse, which is called the Hellenina dialectic or something. Robert says there's more empty buildings left in Gaza that we haven't destroyed yet. Eric says it's difficult to understand how Hezbollah can have 100,000 rockets and Israel doesn't know their location. So we can pretty much assume that the poverty-stricken Palestinians don't have 100,000 rockets. And it certainly looks like Iran is on the target of Israelis' nukes. So should they take that serious and prepare to defend themselves? Is this thing going to escalate out of control? Is it all planned? The New World Order, the propaganda we see on TV. Christina says they should have taken up to the source with those 100,000 missiles, their dealer and provider. I agree with that. That would be Iran and ultimately Russia, and I don't think that's the real source. The Illuminati, the ones they say, the Zionisms, the people in Israel itself that run the show. Rothschild, with the Balfour Agreement during World War I, made a backdoor deal to get the annex some of the PAL's land for the state of Israel. Now they own almost all of it, and that looks like they're trying to own all the land the size of the United States over there by killing all the Arabs. That is exactly how it ends. In the end, Israel will simply bomb Russia. That's going to work out. The king of the north, and finally when his end, after he does his part of the great drama, there will be none left to help. Why fret? Let's just read the book. The end of the question is, who will be there to witness it? It will be indeed a short but painful, dreadful time. Talking about Armageddon where everybody nukes everybody. Remember, this is, in my opinion, Satanism and Luciferianism and interdimensional beings. And it seems to me that these cast out demons from heaven do want to destroy the human race. Eureka, this is really frightening now. Why don't they do something before the criminals prepare themselves? So the criminals, the Israeli Zionism people who got the land illegally, who are CEOs and crooks and robbing everybody and controlling our politicians with bribery and all that other stuff. Everybody knows this, the largest pack. You can't get a representative or a senator to do too much for fear of retaliation from these political packs or other agencies, the discrimination or anti-defamation leagues and all that. And so the Israeli-occupied USA and Israeli-occupied UK and Israeli-occupied Africa and Europe and the behind-the-scenes creation of the EU, European Union, by Pierre Manat and some other people. And if you look up Pierre Manat and put his name into the 666 calculator, It equals 666. Eric Schmidt of Google put his name in the 666 calculator. Equals 666. Look at CERN, the accelerator. Out front, they got the demonic god Shiva. Look at the Vatican in Arizona with the telescope named Lucifer. I could go on with this stuff all day long. These Zionist people, the Blue Lodge Freemason handbook I've been reading, all the other books I shared with you. The stuff they're up to, the evil that they are. And the good people here in the USA, you can't get them off the couch, off the TV. All right, Ernest says, put a bomb in the house of Hezbollah before they dump one on Israel. So I guess they're going to race to go ahead and bomb each other, and they're going to get the USA involved if we're not already, well, we're already occupied by Israel. As Prime Minister Sharon of Israel said, don't worry about the USA, we control the USA. And as Alan Greenspan said, we're running a program called Creative Economic Destruction here in the USA. And a congressman said to Alan, won't some people get hurt? And Alan says, yes, some people will get hurt. It's all a plan to take down the USA. The country that could save the world if the people would wake up. All right, Michael says, forget defensive weapons. First thing, destroy all Lebanese and Syrian infrastructure. It looks like here with Jade Helm and crashing the dollar and all that, they're going to try to destroy, and with the sky spraying in the USA, and the HARP systems and microwave transmitters, and spying on every human by the cell phones and computers, and looks like the USA citizens are in for a rough time from within our own country by these Israeli-occupied puppets that are in control of everything. First thing, destroy all Lebanese and Syrian infrastructure. Put Lebanon and Syria, both Iranian allies, back into the Stone Age. That's what it says here. Second, move into Lebanon. And if you look at the old maps of the ancient territory that the 12 tribes of Israel had thousands of years ago, Lebanon was part of that territory. So this is all a ruse. They just want to kill all those people, and they want to create their new world dominion, Zionism, and control the world. So they need the Lebanese land, which apparently is this beautiful land with beaches and mountain ranges and all that stuff. Then send in the infantry with flamethrowers. Listen to how vicious these citizens are. To burn the terrorists, so the Lebanese citizens are terrorists, out of their tunnels and rat's nest. Most importantly, everything to protect the lives of our soldiers. So the whole world has to die for the dot on the map. I don't know, if I could save the world, if I died, I guess I'd be ready to die. I wouldn't want to kill the whole world just so I lived. What kind of human being would I be? What kind of human beings are they? That they have and done, and what they've done to the USA. Taking over all the positions of power in banking and administration. And our own leaders, if they're probably not, as we read in that last Fritz Springmeier's book, Jewish people who took on the appearance of Christians so that they could infiltrate our societies. Ooh, time to develop pocket nukes. Small nukes that take out a neighborhood only, or a neutron nuke that will leave the buildings alone and just kill the terrorists. So they're talking about citizens, like how they switched the name from citizens to terrorists. So I guess in the United States, all of us that object to the New World Order will be terrorists or insurgents. All right, Sinya says, this is scary. I hope we have a plan. Yonatan says, I will tell you all the strategy to win against Iran and Lebanon. 50 Jericho 3 missile tipped with 50 megaton nuclear bombs, air burst at 4 kilometers altitude all over Iran and Lebanon, away from the Israeli border. It will produce massive electromagnetic pulses, EMPs, that will turn Iran and most of Lebanon back 4,000 years. They will have no telephones, electric cars, or trucks. Even Lindsey Graham, one of our senators, said that he talked about nuking, that somebody was going to nuke Charleston, North Carolina, South Carolina. And Obama and other talk now is nuke Chicago or nuke New York. So these people are not above, like 911, the inside job in the USA, by these people occupying the United States. Zionism, Israeli, as a lot of Jewish people, decent Jewish people, are warning us. Rabbi Marvin Antelman, Canadian author, Henry McCall, Jewish guy, his book, Illuminati, the Cult That Hijacked the World, one of my past videos. So everything I've been saying, apparently, is pretty much on target. Alright, what do we have here? You got this guy, Anyao. When USA tested the Bravo bomb, the hydrogen bomb in Bikini Atoll, it had enough energy to make lamps in Hawaii, nearly 4,000 kilometers away, blow. A much less powerful nuclear bomb over Iran can still generate a strong EMP, but not strong enough to reach Israel. So like I said, these people are seriously vicious. Daniel says homeland preparedness is paramount, but launching a simultaneous mega and lethal strike on the Persian entity, Hezbollah, Hamas, Islamic Jihad, not only preemptive, but to annihilate them should be a priority. What happened with Israel's strategy of bringing the fight to the enemy? So I just thought it was kind of really crazy that all these citizens are so gung-ho to nuke everybody around them. Alright, Dove, Blair, Epstein. They know it's coming and our dumb government is waiting for it, reacting instead of forcing the enemy to cower. They want the USA to cower with this jade helm and all this other stuff. I say nobody should run for the hills. We should run straight towards the people who think they're going to dominate us. There's millions of us, 300 million people in the USA? And according to Deagle.com, that I did in the previous video, they say in less than 10 years there's only going to be 66 million of us left. They're telling us here in the USA they're planning on killing us, these people. Who runs all the corporations and governmental power structures? That Chernoff guy was running Homeland Security. Janet Reno, Jewish person, Attorney General. Alan Greenspan, Jewish person. Economic destruction in the United States. It's all planned. I get a little excited because it's my country and I love the United States. And I don't want this stuff to happen. Even to Israel, I don't want them bombed. But they don't want what they have. It's never going to be enough. The ones over there, the Zionism, not the good Jews you can find on Zionism images on Yahoo and how protesting with sign and writing books. The good Jews who pray to God and believe in God are not these Lucifer worshiping characters. Deborah says Barak is right to tell us to prepare and take precaution, but does he have the right to deny God while doing it? Shame on him. Israel only continues to exist because of God's miracles. Christina, Barak denies God simply because he does not believe God. That's why he has no wisdom all during the Lebanon, and why he is in darkness. How can anyone have any light, any wisdom, if they don't believe in God? I suspect they know all about the science and magic and witchcraft and interdimensional entities. These people are behind all these dark projects going on. One guy here, Geraldine, remember the Samson option. Israel says that they have nuclear missiles aimed at cities all over Europe, which they curiously and insanely regard as hostile. So Israel says they have nuclear missiles aimed at cities all over Europe. this being the preferred choice of target of the Israeli Air Force. Israeli routinely calls the USA anti-Semitic too. Well, I don't know if it's anti-Semitic to start reading what these people say, and reading the books that I've gone over, the things that these people have done, from Rothschild down. Well, I should say from Lucifer down. Does anything strike you as being a little odd about that? Like, what the hell are we fighting for Israel for? If you want to do something to protect your security, address the issue of the Samson option every day to your media and to all others until the threat is properly dealt with. So Israel has nuclear missiles aimed at many of the European cities. Oh my God. The Samson option. So that's a threat to the whole world. Is Israel saying to all our leaders, we got you aimed at our nukes. You need to surrender to the New World Order and to your new masters and be slaves. And by the way, you have too many people, like the U.S. Georgia Guidestones say. So we want you to allow us to go ahead and well, actually, we want you to kill your own people for us. And then all the agriculture and farming and everything, every company and business in the world will be under our control. Is that what these Illuminati, Zionism, Jesuits, Church of Satan, Knights of Columbus, Hollywood crowd, Council of Foreign Relations, bought and paid for Republicans and Democrat senators and representatives and presidents? How is it that Bill Clinton, apparently, according to Fritz Springmeier, could possibly be Rothschild's son, but Rothschild was president at that high school when J.F. Kennedy came to shake hands with Clinton as his child? Why was Obama brought up and tutored and mentored by a bankster in Hawaii? Who's he related to? I just thought this press release was over the top. These brainwashed, hate-filled Jews, are they Jews? This is by Doreen and Servant in the House of God. These brainwashed, hate-filled Jews. So this isn't me. I just read and study. This is a Jewish person saying this. Scared the hell out of me. They're so stupid, too. They never learn every time the government has a crisis on its hands. All it does now with all the corruption pouring out of every pore, it plays the we're going to get the poop bombed out of us, she said the other word. Old Tsar and all the poor, sick, brainwashed, brain-added, all the goyim hate us, Jews are the Jews, go frantic. Are they Jews? So these people, or anybody who questions some of their activity, like Prime Minister Sharon said, don't worry about the USA, we control the USA. So if we quote his words, believe what he said. We goyim are anti-Semitic, supposedly. Isn't it time that we real Jews separate from this Enru Rav, whatever that means, that love, hate, fear, and retaliation? And like I said, you go look up Zionism and images and you will see many Jews who are not these Luciferian, Khazarian, gigantic country, just almost the size of the U.S., just below the bottom of Russia. It was bigger than that. It was actually part of Russia many years ago. But these people apparently came from there, and there's some very evil DNA in them that makes them want to destroy and control and rule the world. Another Hitler, another Caesar, another Pharaoh, another Genghis Khan. It's nothing new, it's just we're having our period now where we either stop these people or they're going to follow through on what they want to do. Like the Georgia USA Guidestones say. Isn't it time that we real Jews separated in retaliation, preemptive strikes, fascist government, and brutality and everything ugly? They make me sick. This is what this Jewish lady says. If they love hatred so much, let them have it. So these people love hatred. Can't we real Jews have an entity that we call our very own? You know, One where Elijah or Yoshifa would be proud and happy to take up residence in. Over 30,000 United Nations troops are stationed in Lebanon. They were to prevent this very thing. So there you have it. I just thought it was on the Steve Quayle, one of his postings. If you go to stevequayle.com, he does press release postings, the one-liners, two-liners, every day, keeps it current. And I see different things, and I open them and I read them, and then I bring them to you. But the Israelis rehearsing for a nightmare scenario. The citizens made all these comments, and it seems like there's a lot of bloodthirsty people wanting to nuke Iran, Syria, and Lebanon, everything all around them. We know Israel, they call it Zionism. And then we got a bunch of our preachers here in the U.S., like Hagee and some other ones, preaching the sick party line, religious stance, that we United States people should love and support Israel. And their mindset is sick. They're looking forward to the day to fulfill prophecy, which says that once Israel is nuked out of existence, then Jesus will come back, or the Christ will come back. Maybe it's Lucifer, not Jesus Christ, but Lucifer, some anointed demonic being to rule the world. And these Hagee and all these other people seem to be embracing that. Even Graham, Billy Graham, and all these politicians, and the 90 billion given to Israel during the same period of time in history, the whole rest of the world didn't get 90 billion. So there you have it. Sorry I get emotional, but you know, when your whole country and your whole reality is at stake, and you read all these books, and it seems like somebody's bringing all this back with Jade Helm, Sky Spring, and all kinds of 30 million chickens and turkeys they're killing, bird flu, Pacific Ocean, Fukushima, Gulf of Mexico, spraying toxins in our Gulf Ocean. That they tell us, this is BP over there in Europe, in other words, Rothschild, that it's none of your business what we're spraying in your Gulf. Why do our politicians allow all this? Thank you for watching my video. You got anything to add, leave a comment. I make mistakes, I'm sure. If anything I'm blatantly wrong on, make a comment. I'll retract it. I'll talk about it. As much information as I read and dispense. I don't believe everything I read, but when I read from 100 different authors, and I seem to see a focus of activity that comes together, then maybe it has credibility. That's why I show you the books and highlight the stuff and pre-read it. We got to do something. We have to do something to turn this around, because apparently they want to burn us down. Rick Miracle reporting.